Okay, here we are at the Normandy Bank. The Normandy Bank is pretty famous here at Rolex. It's at the end of the course, so like many of the combinations here, it rides really easy for some people, and then it'll cause all kinds of problems all day long, I think. But I think it's a little bit deceiving because on a tired horse, it's quite a big question, quite a big effort at the end of the course. It is a bounce up onto the bank over the little rail, and then it's a bending. I'm pretty sure it walks in 5 strides down to this narrow, but because it's on a bend, I think that you'll see all different kinds of rides here similar to the Coffin. So there's a small ditch in front of the 22A, and the rail on top is not that big, but you want to take on the up of the bank, but without going too overpowered, because then they'll be underneath the rail on top. But you also don't want them to stop. But you've come off a long gallop and their stride is long and they're tired at this point, so you want to get them back enough but keep the energy and keep riding at it and stare at that sea the whole time. And the horses land all different off the rail on top. Some land way out, some just barely get over it. So that's why the number of strides to the sea will vary. So as a rider, you want to get up the top of the bank, have a little bit of a long rein so they can get over the bounce, hold your position and stare at that sea and just make it happen. You're going to have to really make sure that you have your reins, and you'll see lots of different steering going on and sort of discombobulated riders, I think, at the sea. I think it's easier this year because it's a narrow. I think last year it was a corner and it did cause lots of trouble last year, so it'll be interesting to see what this narrow does this year. Okay, so here we are. Now we're up on top of the bank, and it's actually quite a tall bank, and it's going to be a pretty big effort on the horses at the end of the course. So they're going to get to the base of this ditch, and they're going to squat down on their hind legs and jump up off their hind end, and their front legs are going to land up here, and just as their hind toes touch the edge of this bank, the front legs will take off again over this bounce. So it's a pretty big effort. The rail up here is not that tall, but they have to jump up. They have to be very quick with their footwork to get up here. So then we're going to come around the back side of this rail, and there's a bit of a hill landing off this rail. So I think you'll see horses that jump way out over and almost land to the bottom of the hill, and you'll see some horses that land right here and sort of canter down. It just depends on what kind of horse you have and how surprised they are by this bounce up. But as a rider, as you land, you just have to stare at that skinny and make it happen. And I think you will definitely see some very smooth rides, and you'll see some wild riding through here, just, you know, barely getting it done to get over that narrow, because as soon as they land here, you want to make sure that they know that there's another jump and they're not done after they've bounced up over the bank. And there's a small option on the side here. It's just a roll top, and that option is if you run off this narrow here and you decide that you don't want to represent to it, you'd scoot all the way back around behind this bank and jump this roll top and then continue on your way.